So for humans, it's when the umbilical cord gets cut and we're separated and we have to breathe for ourselves. For birds, it's when they come out of the egg, or snakes or whatever. There's always a time or a moment. And a chart can be done. But this is a language with implications, and getting perspective on the planets, which is what I've been trying to develop in the planets with the houses, the signs, and then planets. We're trying to see how this works in different ways, in different to the attitudes that come onto the sun. Here's what areas of our life do we empower? Do we radiate in? Are we going to get our confidence from? So it's the simplest planet. It's the simplest thing, the sun. It's everything. But it's the hardest one to say, oh, it's just this or just that, because it's an energy, not as much of a function. It's a state of being. And there's another side to the sun. So the other side to the sun, the other side to the ego. What's the flip side of the ego? The ego is your separate sense of yourself. I'm just me. I'm here. I'm radiating and powerful, and this is me. What's the other side of it is the soul. My ego might think I have my independent soul, and this is my soulfulness. But really, souls aren't separate from each other. It's a kind of a oneness. And to get to that oneness, you have to humble the ego on the blatant level and be open to an inner light inside. So with your horoscope, it's like a prayer wheel. We use the wheel and we can go out to explore life and to understand how vast and how incredible it is, out through the houses, through the signs, see the aspects. We can extend out the wheel, out to the outer rims of the wheel and encompass all of life. And then once we're out there spinning and vibrating with the whole of life, we can then turn the prayer wheel inward and go inward and inward until you come back to your heart. Not so distracted by so many things, not so vibrating, just radiating in your heart. So sun's like a gateway to the outer world with confidence, to the inner world with grace, with love, with openness. But it's a big battle to get that burning, powerful ego and radiance of the sun be the shining inner light, not attached to things. That takes a lot of work and refinement to get to there. So I'm just rambling a little bit about this. It's beyond just the scope of the house, but it's just about the nature of the sun. So everything about the sun, you can take the sun sign, you can take the decan, you can take the pentan the sun is in, you can take the degree the sun is in, you can see if it's touching a star, you can keep going, and there's going to be light and empowerment there. In fact, all the other stars are other suns, sending lights and messages in. Whoa. How much of them can we tune into? The stars are all there. They're all other masters. Like our sun's a great master. The other suns are great masters. How many masters can you listen to? How many do you live up to? It's a tall order. So is the tall order of our confidence, our radiance, our being somebody, of being alive and burning and participating in life. And there's such things as karma. A whole chart represents the karma of where we come from past lives to get into this life to have to deal with things. So how brightly your sun is shining, how strong or weak you are, but even if you're sick, moon factor, even if your Mercury isn't working exactly right, even if you have distorted Venuses, these things, even inside a difficult birth, there is still room for that sun to radiate and to clear it and to wake up the soul and to wake up the life, regardless. I have my niece's son was born with cerebral palsy. He's in his 20s now, late 20s. He's never been able to move in his life. Beautiful kid, intelligent, quick, good thinking. He can't move his body. What a puzzle. Yet this soul has come into life and touches the hearts and souls of absolutely everyone that meets him. What a radiant purpose. What an incredible influence. Most of us can't do that. We can't measure with our mind what souls are doing. Sometimes the most difficult situation, that soul is radiating the brightest and touching the most people. So there's a challenge to wherever the sun is. There's an aliveness to it. But what we'll see is whenever we're not living up to it, or we're into other planets and into other things more than the sun, it's almost an insult. All the other planets should be like just this little group of interests, a small little group compared to this huge sun. But we take the sun for granted until we seemingly are out of touch with our heart or our purpose in life. And usually we're radiating, we meet someone, we fall in love with, so wow, this is everything, we open up to everything. Or you can take drugs, open up to everything, and then the everything is there, and then it disappears, it doesn't stay, and you're crashing. And suddenly, that wasn't everything, something was missing. Where am I? We get this whole heartache to have to find our confidence again. And to find our confidence again, we have to work on our daily habits and our food and what we eat and how we live. We have to work on our right thinking. We have to work on right values, attracting good things, letting go of the good things, letting go of the bad things, and not even having too much of the good things, to get a clarity around one's values and desires. And then when those things are in place, the sun is shining there like it always was. And you become it again. Your focus goes there. Your ego gets aligned with it. Or burnt in it, you might say. But it's a living process. So it's hard to say the sun's exactly this, the sun's here, it's going to just burn there. The sun's radiating in every house in a church, it's radiating the whole thing. It's like the signs of houses, it's all emanations from the sun. But we're going to look at it from when we're interpreting a chart and we're trying to use words and ideas to work with it. I like the word confidence, but I'd be often flipping between, I'm trying to observe whether the energy is going out, ego, which isn't wrong, for a racer or a runner to try and run as fast as they could, to be in the championship, to work like crazy, for that moment to do it. It's power, but it's sun power behind it. When your heart is into it, boy, it's a valid expression out into life. At the same time, there's times where that may be happening, and then there's still the time when does your heart open up? When do you turn inward? And across lifetime, when we're young, we're going to play and go dance like a spoiled kid, like an arrogant kid. But when you get older, you get humbled by pains, by things. But you're lucky to just get around everything. That sun, that purpose turns inward. It's still a caring, but you're not as active as you were. You're not as distracted as you were. And we're going to die. Our bodies are going to let go. But the light we are just keeps going. It takes time to learn these things. It takes time to grow into things. And in spiritual voices, spiritual masters often say it takes maybe thousands of lifetimes before we're really ready to come close to the sun without getting burnt. But we're still going to try and work as much as we can. When you're working on someone's chart, you're working on their confidence. How do you build up someone's confidence? How do you reinforce? How do you encourage it? How do you applaud it? Like, wow. Some people, they put down all their life and they have to find the applause from themselves. Some people get the applause so easily they have trouble finding their own inner applause. So these are all solar challenges. So it's a mighty influence in whatever area of the chart it is. Okay. Now, so, I mean, to know someone's zodiac sign, you just need to know when they're born. You don't have to know their time. You get the sun sign, you see where the other planets are. That's all pretty well set just on the day. When you get the time of day, you get the houses around it, you're seeing the specific energy as to how this confidence, how this light works down into your worldly life. And it can work through on all different levels. Like that sun can work through on any of the levels. And it depends. Some levels it'll reinforce easily, some levels will reinforce difficulty. We'll see the stress patterns and the difficulties when we get to the aspects in the next level. But right now we want to see how it affects the houses, how it affects the world as it's turning day by day. So the first category is the rising, instigative half of our life, half of the chart, and the setting, selective half of the chart. So houses from the IC, houses 3, 2, 1, 12, 11, 10, the rising half. And then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 on the setting half. So if you have a kid, you want them to be the best. You want them to really shine, to be who they are. And that you're only going to be able to give the example of that as well as you can do that yourself. But if you've given up everything, just have your kid and just living your kid, not doing anything, it may limit how much you're setting the example for your kids. And some people have to learn to find their son by getting away from family. Some people are lucky enough to have a family that supports it. They find their confidence within it. Either way is not a right or wrong. It's just that sun will shine, will learn to shine anyways. And some of us need to be kicked out of the house to find it. Some of us need to run away from it and then try and find it ourselves. Some of us, if you have the karma from another lifetime, that's okay. You'll be in and it'll work for you, and you can work it within the family without having to fight it. There's still, family is still a moon concern. And most people live on their moon. And they just follow what the family thinks or how it's been done and what's wanted within the family, and they find their confidence in that. But that's not finding your sun, really, because even there, enlightenment comes from burning in your light. And usually you have to get beyond the moon, Mercury, and Venus to find it. But there's so many things that can fill up our life in the meantime. So when will you let your sun shine through? You got it. You know, as soon as you see someone's sun shining, wow, it's incredible. You don't get in the way of it. You just admire it. You applaud it. And then it encourages you to let your light shine too. Okay, so the rising side, you're going to get your confidence by projecting, by instigating. Your sense of importance will be coming from you making things happen and pushing out from the home and the motives you have, and pushing things up to see what kind of influence you'll get out in the world. So you're pushing from being nobody up to being somebody up at the midheaven. I don't like that expression because I think you're somebody you're more of somebody even if you're in your own home. But this idea of, I got to go do something. I got to do something. I got to make something happen. I can't just sit here. This is boring. There's some things to do. I've got to instigate something. I got to make something happen. I'm going to start something. I'm going to joke. I'm going to play around. I'm going to try things. I'm going to so as soon as the sun gets turned on and is projecting, it's going to give light on anything else that's projecting. All the other planets projecting will gain from the sun being on that side. If you have your planets most of your planets rising, but your sun's on the setting side, your sun's trying to be more responsive. It's still important to do things for others and to shine for others and to do things, but it's being reactive more. It's going to encourage and shine on all the planets reacting, and perhaps not as much on the projecting. So it's much harder for the setting charts to just do their own instigation. Then they'll drive very hard to align with people so we can do it. So I'm getting the feedback to do it. I'm getting the encouragement to do it. So both want the encouragement. The projecting side is pushing out to get the attention. They're going to do it because they know they'll get attention, they'll get encouragement. They're pushing to get it. The setting side is burning to get it, is burning to get the reaction, but it won't really show and shine until it's getting the feedback from others. It almost has a need for response, or to be a need for the applause before one's really doing it. So a setting side would have to be good enough at something to get the applause, and be getting the applause before they're really going to have the confidence to go do it. They're not likely to do it on their own. Why bother if no one cares?